Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the EzeeLinux show. This is version 18.20, recorded April the 28th, 2018. It's the wee small hours of the morning where I am. And as I had mentioned yesterday on Facebook, I have been hit with a monster cold, feeling a little bit better, and decided let's go ahead and do a video about Ubuntu 18.04 Bionic Beaver. Now, I am not completely over this cold, but I will try and keep all snuffing, snorting, coughing, and sneezing down to a minimum. So what I want to do in this video is actually install this in a virtual machine so you can see the installation process. And then once it's up and running, we'll take a look around and we'll talk about some of the pros and cons and pluses and minuses. This is the Ubuntu page right here, announcing that it is out, and I just think it's very cool that they were able to get so many buzzwords right on the front page here. Look, it's optimized for multi-cloud infrastructure, machine learning, AI, and software development. So, yeah, it'll run your garage door opener too. That's a good thing to know. So if we go to downloads, and then we go to desktop, because that's what we're interested in, click on that, it'll take us to the page. And they offer 18.04 LTS. And then we can go over here to download. And also they have the instructions for upgrading your system if you want to. Here's where they ask you to make a donation, and you can choose your amount there. We can just go right on around that. And we'll go to the download page where we can choose our image. And it says this site can't be reached. Well, I wonder why. That's interesting. Let's see. Let's go back and see what's up with that. Well, I don't know what the deal. Well, nope, there it goes. It took off. Don't ask me because I don't know. I ain't got a clue on that one. Okay. Well, I really don't actually need to download this, so we will cancel it. I actually have it already. So go ahead and just please cancel the download. Thank you very much. And we will jump over here to this VM. Go ahead and close that. We don't need that open. And I have this all set up and ready to go in a virtual machine, and we're just going to install it from scratch, and you can see how it goes. Haven't done a video like this in quite some time. Now, the way this works is when it's doing something that's obviously going to take a bunch of time, we'll pause the video, so you won't see every single step of the process, but you'll see enough of it to know what's going on. So let's go ahead and boot this up and get it going. If you have a machine that has secure boot enabled or UEFI, you're going to have to figure out how to deal with that on your own. It should detect that and go along with it. Ubuntu works with both Secure Boot and UEFI, but in case it doesn't, you'll have to go into your BIOS and turn one or both off and go into legacy mode, which is what I prefer if your machine will let you do it. But try and boot it up nonetheless and see how far it'll get you before you go into that. Now, anybody who is currently running Ubuntu 16.04 LTS, you're going to get offered an upgrade when Ubuntu 18.04.1 comes along. I think if you're running 17.10, you can upgrade now. So what we're going to do is go ahead and install Ubuntu. And the first thing it's going to ask us about is our language and keyboard. And then we have some options to choose from here. And the first one here is to do a normal installation, or we can do a minimal installation here. If we choose the minimal installation, some of the applications won't get installed. We'll have to get them ourselves. And it really depends on the flavor of Ubuntu, how minimal of a minimal installation is. So that's kind of a new thing. We're going to do a normal installation. It offers to download updates while you're installing. That's kind of checked and you can't turn it off. And then we have install the third-party software, the codecs and things like that. We'll go ahead and choose that, but that doesn't get you everything. What you need to do is install a package called Ubuntu Restricted Extras once you get this up and running. But let's move forward here. We've made our choices. And then we're going to have a whole lot of options that is going to pop up here. Now, the virtual machine that I have, I cloned from an existing one. So it's offering to install it alongside. We don't want to do that. We want to erase disk and install Ubuntu. And if you're doing a fresh install, that's what I always recommend that you do. If you're going to manually partition your disk, like you want to have a partition for your system and one for your home and all that kind of stuff, then you would choose something else. We're just going to take the automatic route today. And Ubuntu, by the way, no longer creates a swap partition. There is no need to do that if you're going to do manual partitioning. It creates a swap file. So it makes it quite easy. So what it's actually going to do here is just create one giant partition. Let's choose our time zone, which is Eastern US for me. And we'll put some information in here. And I'll put my name in. And then it'll choose a machine name. You can go with whatever it chooses, or you can put your own in. We'll just call it Ubuntu Test VM. How's that? Does that sound good? Sounds good to me. Okay, we'll put in a password. Super secure password for VMs. Alright. And then it will give you the option to log in automatically, or you can require password at login. I always choose to have the system require my password at login in case somebody steals my computer, somebody breaks in, especially if it's a laptop. You don't want to make it easy for them to get in and look at your data. And then we just let this thing do its thing, and we watch the little slideshow that comes with it. And this can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how fast your hardware is, how fast your internet connection is. We'll just let it finish. Okay, we're all done installing, and we can go ahead and restart. And hopefully it will actually boot up. This is always an exciting moment. You never know what you're going to get. This new version of Ubuntu has been very stable for me. I've actually been running it for about 6 weeks. I was running it when it was in the alpha stages. I have a machine that my fiancée uses, and it is currently running this and has been, and she has just really enjoyed using it. This is not the distribution for me, and I will get into reasons why later on in the video. As we roll along, you will see why. I'll point that out, but I don't want to appear to be extraordinarily negative because a great deal of work has gone into this. It was just a year ago that Canonical announced that they were dropping the Unity desktop and that they were going to be using Gnome 3 yet again for their desktop, the Gnome desktop. Going back to that, they dropped it when it was Gnome 2 to go to Unity. So let's go ahead and get ourselves signed in, and we'll see what it looks like when it loads up. They've done a great deal to try and make this as familiar as possible. If you're using Ubuntu 18.04 with the Unity desktop, if you opened this up, it wouldn't be terribly hard to figure out what you were doing. Okay, so we're going to kind of walk our way through the new introduction screen that we get. And just an introduction page here tells you a little bit about what's on the screen. And we will roll on. And I don't really know whether it's a good idea to set up live patch or not. The idea here is that you can get certain upgrades that would ordinarily mean that you would have to restart your computer, and now they have it where you don't have to do that. The machine can keep running and it'll put the patch in. I have not looked into that. I don't know a great deal about it. You can turn it on if you want to. I'm sure that there's a place where you can turn it back off. We won't bother with it here. We'll just roll on. The next thing that they want to ask you for is a report on your system statistics. Essentially, they want to know how many hard drives you have, what partition scheme do you use, what kind of computer it is, that sort of thing. And all of this is going into a database that the Canonical developers can use to figure out exactly what kind of hardware people are using. And this has caused a little bit of controversy because some people have said this is spyware. This is not spyware, because right here you have the chance to opt in or opt out of this. If you don't want to send it, you don't have to send it. And if you want to, you can look at the report here. This is all of the information that is going to Canonical. So if you go look in here, there's nothing in here that can lead them back to you as the person running it. There's no information there that is the traceable back to you. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Some people get a little upset about it. I think it's a good thing. And I'm not going to send it, gang. And the reason why I'm not going to do it is because this is a virtual machine. And I'd really not want to clog up Canonical's database with a bunch of stuff about VirtualBox. You know what I mean? That's kind of strange. So it says you're ready to go, and we can open up the software application to install applications like this if we need it. Notice here we have Spotify and a Skype client and a bunch of different things that people need. We'll take a look at software here in just a moment, so let's go ahead and close that. Now, I'm going to show you a few things that I think you need to do pretty much as soon as you install this. The first thing, of course, that you want to do is make sure everything is up to date. And it should actually come up and tell you, even though you choose to download updates while you're installing, sometimes there's still some updates that you need to do. What we want to do is go here to Activities, and I'm going to look for Software and Updates right here. And we're going to look at the update options very quickly. If we go into other software, we can opt to get third-party software. I always turn that on in case I might need it. Just type in the right password, that would help. So make sure that is on. We go to Updates here. It will be set for security updates to be downloaded and installed automatically. I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather just see them when they come in so I can watch that process. You can set it up any way you like, and we will display immediately on everything. That's the way I like it. If there's an update, I want to know about it. And we'll go ahead and close that. And we added something to the repository, so let's reload. And this should take just a second or two. And then we're going to, the very next thing that we're going to do is to install something that will let us make these fonts a little bigger so it's easier for everybody to see, you and me included. Now we have lots of settings over here. If we go and click up there on the little cluster, we have several pages of settings that we can go through. And pretty much standard stuff here. But one thing you're not going to find is any place where you can edit the theme or you can edit the fonts in any kind of meaningful way. So what you need to do is you need to install this piece of software. So let's go ahead and make that bigger so everybody can see what we're doing. So the command that we need is sudo apt install, and we need Gnome Tweak, and then it should autofill. Yeah, then we want the tool. So that's the package we need to install. While we're here, I also want to install Synaptic, and I will tell you why. So those are the two that you really need right up front, as far as I'm concerned. So let's go ahead and get those. Yes. Pretty small programs that shouldn't take very long to install at all. And I guess, yeah, while we're here, let's go ahead and install another package that I recommend that you put into the system. Now, we chose the codecs and all that stuff at the beginning. If you do not check that box, or even if you do, one of the things that you're going to want to install is something called Ubuntu Restricted Extras, and this gives you a lot of fonts, and it gives you better FFmpeg and many different codecs and different things. So now if you don't want to do this because you're concerned about putting proprietary software on the system, you don't have to. I'm just offering this up. That's something that I usually do pretty much every time that I do an install. So that'd be restricted and extras. Yep. So let's go ahead and put this in. And you can also do this from the software application, or you can do it from Synaptic, which is another software application. I'll show you that in just a few moments. Go ahead and get this. Now this is going to prompt you. Press the Tab key to select OK. And then yes, because we're having to agree to a EULA. See, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to, but I'm just showing you how it's done. And this is going to go out, and it's going to grab a whole bunch of fonts and things like that. Very useful to have around if you're going to be doing this as a desktop. If you don't need it, you don't need it, you know. If you don't install all this stuff and you should happen to click on something that needs it, it will prompt you. It'll say, hey, do you want to install this? You can go that route as well, I suppose, but I like to have it all set up. Okay, so we've done that. So the next thing we want to do is let's go to this Gnome Tweak tool. This is actually one of my, let's search by tweaks. There we go. One of my pet peeves with Ubuntu these days, how do you know you need to install this if you want to change your fonts or manipulate your desktop? It should be just included. That's my opinion. It should already be here, and I shouldn't have to install it. So I'm just going to make these bigger. Let's do that. This one doesn't seem to actually exist for some reason, so you actually have to choose a font. We'll just choose Ubuntu Bold. That's something I've noticed. So let's do that one. And then here we can just make these bigger. All right. We'll make this one 14. Just makes it easier for everybody. That's your fixed font for your terminal, so that's why the terminal got bigger behind it. You can also mess around with your aliasing here. You can also scale your fonts if you want to. So that is where that is. Let's go back up here to appearance because there is something I wanted to show you. They ship with some lovely themes here. We've got ambience. Ambience dark is nice. Adwaita dark is really nice. And then we have the radiance theme. So let's switch over to the dark theme for Adwaita. I like that an awful lot. Very easy to see. And there are other tweaks that you can do in here as well. So now that we have kind of themed things up a little bit, we can continue with what we were doing. So the way they want you to get to software is use this application right here. And this application is called software. It does not show you everything that's in the repositories. It is, like if we do a search here, let's do a search for a package. If this pops up, I'm going to be really surprised. We'll do a search for a package called lame. Notice that it doesn't pop up. It's something that's a dependency of lame. Lame is an MP3 encoder. So this particular application for dealing with software, it does an okay kind of job. And I'm not going to complain about it. And probably for most people it would be okay. But the one that I like, and we installed just a little while ago, is Synaptic. So let's type that in correctly. And then we'll open up Synaptic Package Manager. And this is what Synaptic looks like. Now this is a much plainer application, but now if we search for lame, it pops right up. I'm just going to go down here, and there it is, lame. So if we want to install lame, then we just mark for installation. You can go through and find any packages you need, and you can do that. And then once you get them set up the way you want it to, you get all the packages you want, you just apply. And it confirms and goes, yeah, do you want to do this? Yeah, absolutely, I do want to do this. So it downloads it and installs it. Click that so it will automatically close that once it's done, or it'll sit there and stay open. And now that little package is installed. Now what does lame do? It makes MP3 files. I'm just using it as an example. If you don't need to make MP3 files, then don't worry about lame. But I just really recommend that you get this if you want to make this useful. So there's something else I'd like to show you here that's really important, and that is once again talking about MP3s. Now, if you don't have any MP3 music that you intend to load on the computer, don't worry about it. But if you do, you may find that it doesn't sound really good. And that is because Ubuntu has a deal with a company called Fluendo. Fluendo provides MP3 codecs, and that is at a price. And what Canonical has done since Ubuntu 14.04 is they have shipped with this package installed that's a add-on to the GStreamer suite of codecs that basically makes MP3 sound bad. And the idea is that you will go and research this, and you will find that you have to pay like $35 to make your MP3 files sound good once again by buying the premium codecs from Fluendo. Well, you don't have to do any of that. What you do is you go sudo apt remove, and we'll look at gstream and Fluendo. That make sure that that package goes away. If you do that, your MP3s will sound the way they're supposed to. I do not know why Canonical continues to do that, because MP3 is now open sourced. And so there is no need to worry about Fluendo, but they may have a contract or whatever the deal is. I'm not judging. I have called this a ripoff in the past, which I think it is, but I will keep that opinion to myself. So now we have Ubuntu 18.04 set up. What do we get? Well, let's look at the applications here. Down here is your applications menu. And we got pretty much basic stuff here. This is the little kickback to Amazon. If you shop with Amazon and you click on this and you do your shopping through this, then the folks at Canonical get a little percentage of that, and it helps to go toward maintaining and developing Ubuntu. So if you want to do that, you can do that if you want to. Firefox is going to be your web browser that is installed. Some of the LibreOffice suite is in here, not all of it. And the part of the LibreOffice suite that provides a front page is not installed. So they have the individual applications, but they don't have the part of LibreOffice that provides sort of a landing spot for all of the installed applications. Can't get along without Mines. We have to have that installed, that's for sure. So there's really just not much here. This is very, very basic stuff we have in Ubuntu 18.04, which, that's good because you can add what you need and you don't get a whole lot. And we didn't even choose the minimum installation. Thunderbird is being shipped as a mail client. I know that some folks out there don't need a mail client. They're silly and they use webmail, which, I would rather chop my hand off and watch the blood spurt out than use a webmail. But you don't have to worry about that if you don't want to. You can just leave it alone or uninstall Thunderbird if you like. But for those of us who need a mail client, Thunderbird is definitely the one. Right now, that is an application that I could not live without. I have to have Thunderbird. I run my own mail servers, and so therefore this is how I access them. And I don't have webmail, It's one of those kind of deals. So couldn't live without it. Now, if you look under what they call utilities here, you'll see that we have backup. That is a program called Deja Dupe. It's a very competent, very simplistic program to do backups. If you want to keep that around, you can go right ahead. I uninstall it because I have my own backup software. We have disks. This lets you manage USB sticks, format things, check the health of your drive, all that kind of stuff. Turn different options on for your hard drives. I always go ahead and turn on the write cache on the hard drives, even though technically speaking I have been told that it's on already, but I like to confirm that by turning it on in disks. We have screenshot here and several other utilities. It's here's File Roller, the archive manager. The name of the actual package is File Roller. And that is pretty much it. Now, you will notice that if you have used the GNOME desktop in the past, that Ubuntu does not automatically index your files. And that would be stuff that's in your home directory, search information. That doesn't do that. So if we go over here, we go to Settings, and then we go to Search, it's not going to actually search files. Why? Because it doesn't come with a package called Tracker installed. So let's install Tracker just so I show you how to do it. On the Tracker, there's nothing out there called Tracker. There we go. Yep. So if you install this and then you restart the system, the GNOME desktop should actually start indexing files. They do that to enhance performance because Tracker does tend to slow things down because it's busy indexing stuff in the background. Now, if you don't want that, you don't need it. A lot of things about the desktop have been turned off. So if we go back to the Tweak tool and we open that up and we go down and we look at extensions, well, we only have 2 extensions. And that's because what we're running in is a modified GNOME desktop. This is not the standard vanilla GNOME desktop. So if you're used to playing with that and you add your extensions and your add-ons and all that stuff, in order to do that, you are actually going to have to install another package, and that is called Gnome Session. Then you can log out, and when you log out to the logout screen, you can choose that as an option, and you log in, and that will give you a regular Gnome Session where you can install your own add-ons and things like that. So if you're somebody who likes to customize GNOME, that's what you need to do to get it going. If you don't care, then you can use Ubuntu setup, and it works quite well. One of the issues that I have with the GNOME desktop in general is the fact that it does not have very good Qt integration. For those of you who are new to Linux, when a software developer goes to write an application, he can choose a graphic toolkit. And in GNOME, it's usually GTK 3, 2, or 3. And then for the KDE Plasma environment, those kind of desktops, they have Qt. Well, of course, GTK will run on KDE, and GTK will, GTK will run on KDE, and Qt will run on GNOME. But the integration isn't that great on the GNOME desktop. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Let's just install yet another package. We're going to install a Qt application. So apt install. And the one we want is simple screen. Let's see. Yes. Let's go ahead and install this. First Qt application that comes to mind. So this should install quite quickly. Another application that you're going to notice doesn't follow the theme is the calculator. And this doesn't, well, where is it? I clicked on it, it didn't open. Can we try that one more time? It's almost like it's not, well, see, Tracker's starting to work. Okay, calculator. Is it back behind? It doesn't. Oh, there it is. It took it a little while to get stuff up and running. You notice that it is not following the theme, and that's because calculator is installed for whatever reason as a snap package. So you may have heard about Ubuntu snap packages. Well, all the calculators I open, they're going to take their time and open up now. I see how that works. Snap packages do not follow the GTK theme either. So let's go here and open up Simple Screen Recorder. I wonder how many calculators. Oh, I did that 3 times, didn't I? So let's see here. Let's go to, there it is. And this is what we get. So it is not following the theme at all. It defaults to Fusion, as a matter of fact. Now, there is a hack that you can do to fix that, but it's not very newbie friendly. So if you're going to be running Qt applications, you either have to accept that they're not going to follow the GTK theme, or you're going to have to go off and find that hack if you want to. And I'm sure that Matthew Moore will post the hack in the comments, because he did the last time I mentioned it. And you can go fix that, and hopefully it'll work for you. Now, all of these things that I'm talking about that appear to be negatives for some people don't matter at all, and that is because, for instance, Cindy uses this, and she doesn't care because she uses like 3 applications. She uses a browser, and she uses calculator, and she uses 2 or 3 things. She doesn't care what they look like as long as they run, and that's it. Of course, I have installed on her machine, when I set that up, I installed the rest of LibreOffice and several other things that aren't included. But there you go. This is Ubuntu 18.04. For me, this would not be a good distribution for me to use, simply because of the fact that I'm really enjoying Linux Mint and Ubuntu Mate. So if we jump over here, this is my desktop that I'm using right now. This is Ubuntu Mate 18.04. And it gives me everything I need and nothing I don't. And it's a very traditional layout. And GTK applications. Look, if we jump over here and just switch over there's the same program. This is Simple Screen Recorder. It's running right now. It's recording this video as we speak. It goes along really nice with the GTK3 here. Even this is Qt and this is GTK, and they look good. And that's out of the box. I didn't have to do anything to fix that. So there's a lot of little things like that. But this has not crashed on me. One of the problems that we had with the Gnome desktop when it was the Ubuntu Gnome flavor, and also when Ubuntu switched over to GNOME for 17.10, was it would just seem to crash every now and again and completely lock the system up. Been running this particular system for 6 weeks, and it has never crashed on me. So, the desktop, that is, I haven't had any major crashes at all, which has been, I posted that, and then somebody goes, well, you're lying. It had to have crashed its GNOME. I said, look, I'll tell you the truth. I got no reason to lie about this stuff, gang. If it crashes, it crashes. Ubuntu is not paying me anything to do this video. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a quick look under the hood at the system. And we'll look at the kernel that's running. So this is shipping with 4.15.0-20 generic. That is the Ubuntu maintained kernel. And if we do ls block, look at the block devices, you'll see all of our included snaps. So there's your calculator snap right there. That's in there. Let's see what else we have. System monitor is also a snap package. So we're moving into the snap world. We have a disk with 1 partition on it. So if we look at free dash, let's just do M, you'll see that we have a swap file, which is 759 megabytes. Where is the swap file, Joe? Can you show us that so we know where it is? Why, certainly, I'll be glad to. It's right here. It is in the root directory. And it's the same thing as a swap file that we kind of got used to in Windows for a long time, although they called it a page file. Page file sys is exactly what it is. It does exactly the same thing. It's virtual memory. And is there any difference in performance between a swap partition and a swap file? No, none whatsoever. Makes no difference. Nice thing about a swap file, of course, is that you can create another one and you can resize it if you want to. The maximum that Ubuntu will create is 2 gigabytes. If you have 16 gigabytes of memory in your computer, you probably are thinking to yourself, well, I don't even need a swap file at all, do I? Because I'm never going to run out of memory. Well, the kernel likes to have some scratch space to work with. It likes to have that swap space. So it's a good idea to have some around. So instead of going through all the trouble of creating a partition, which is what Ubuntu had been doing for umpteen years, now they've decided to just create a little file, and it sits discreetly on your system drive. And if something does need swap, if there's a program on your system that has direct access to it, it has somewhere to go. If you do not have a swap file on your system, you may find it to be a bit unstable. So that's how that works. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I need to say about Ubuntu 18.04 LTS? I do know that there's a lot of stuff that's gone on under the hood. There are certain packages that if you are used to, like for instance, ifconfig is not installed. So what you have to do is you have to install a package called NetTools, and of course they're kind enough to provide you with the actual command to do that. So, and it just installs this little package. I have a couple of programs that I've written that I use all the time, little bash scripts that rely on the ifconfig command. So what I've done is gone in there and it looks for it. So if you go to my GitHub page and try and use it or something like that, it will. Actually, no, I don't think, I take that back. I don't have anything on GitHub that uses ifconfig right now. But if I did, then I would put that in there where it would alert you that it wasn't installed. So what are you supposed to use? Well, you're supposed to use this IP program. And this is what the output looks like. Whereas ifconfig looks like this. So it's basically the same information, but I think those of us who have been using ifconfig all these years, we kind of prefer to stick with it because we know exactly what to look for and all that happy stuff. So there's a few packages like that that are not available, but you can find them. I have found that a lot of these, what you might be looking for, may be in a snap. So that's something that you might want to go look at. Always look in software first. It lists some, I think this lists some snap packages. Correct me if I'm wrong. But for the most users, everything you need should be here with no issues whatsoever. And that's about all I got to say. Now, do you need to upgrade if you're running Ubuntu 16.04? It's a question that I get asked every time I do one of these videos. You need to upgrade if there is a reason why you need to get off of 16.04. If it is not working for you, or there's a bug that you're trying to get away from, yes, I mean, sure, upgrade. As I mentioned earlier in the video, users of 16.04 Ubuntu right now are not even going to get offered an upgrade until 18.04.1 comes out. They want to make sure that it's really super stable before they move you off of that. And even after that, if 16.04 is working for you, then you should be fine. You should stay where you are. That's supported until 2021. This will be supported until 2023. So it's just the next, way up. If you like the Unity desktop on Ubuntu 16.04 and you're happy with it, stay where you're at. You don't have to move on, because if you move on, I think you can still install Unity. I'm pretty sure it's in the repositories. If you want to do that, you can on 18.04. I haven't tried it myself. So anyway. All right, I have rambled on long enough. Thank you very much for watching the video, gang. I appreciate it. Be sure and check out EzeeLinux on the web. Check out EzeeLinux on Facebook. And check out freedompenguin.com for lots of very cool stories about Linux and content from creators such as myself. This has been kind of a mellow, laid-back video because I'm doing it in the middle of the night. And quite frankly, I'm on a lot of cold medicine right now, so this should be really fun. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we will do something like this again soon. I have no. It feels really long. Did I go on forever this time? I think I did. Who cares, right? It's infotainment. Talk to you guys again soon. Have fun with Ubuntu 18.04.